moment for God.
A moment with God can change everything. Listen, reflect, and be blessed. Here's today's scripture.
All right, going way back in time, but also getting into stuff that's like weirdly relevant to right now.
Okay.
We're talking about Psalm 28.3, integrity, association, and divine guidance. I mean, it gets right to the point.
It does.
And those are exactly the things we're going to be looking at. Integrity, what it really means, how the people we hang out with affect us.
Yeah, the company you keep.
Exactly. And then how to find guidance in a world that, let's face it, can be pretty confusing.
Yeah, no kidding. And the thing is, those questions about staying true to yourself, figuring out relationships, seeking direction, I mean, those are timeless.
Totally. It's like human nature 101.
Right.
No matter what century you're living in.
Exactly.
So let's get to the verse itself. Do not drag me away with the wicked, with those who do evil, who speak cordially with their neighbors, but harbor malice in their hearts. I got to say, that harbor malice part that really gets me is kind of creepy, right?
It is. It's like this image of hidden bad intentions. You know, like
Okay.
someone's all smiles on the surface, but underneath.
Yeah, total wolf in sheep's clothing vibes.
Exactly. And that contrast is at the heart of what the psalmist, who most scholars believe was King David, is trying to say.
Okay, so King David, didn't he have some drama in his life?
Oh, yeah, tons. This song was probably written when his life was full of political intrigue, enemies everywhere, you know, people who might be pretending to be his friend, but secretly
Plotting against him.
Exactly. So he's crying out to God, asking for protection, not just from physical harm, but also from moral compromise. He's like, God, don't let me get sucked into this mess and end up becoming one of them.
So it's like, protect me from the bad influences. Don't let me be dragged down by their bad choices.
Exactly. And it's not just about outward actions, right? It's about what's going on in the heart. That's where the whole idea of hypocrisy comes in.
Right, because you could act all nice and friendly.
But if you have bad intentions in your heart,
Then it's all fake.
it is. True integrity has to come from the inside out.
So true. But wait, aren't actions important too? Like, I've always heard actions speak louder than words.
For sure, actions are super important. But the psalmist is going deeper. He's saying that our actions ultimately come from our hearts, right? If your inner world is messed up, eventually your actions will show that, no matter how hard you try to fake it.
That makes sense. And haven't we all met those people who are like all smiles to your face, but then the second you turn around,
They're talking behind your back.
like, how do we check ourselves? How can we make sure that we're not the hypocrites?
That's the big question, isn't it? It's a challenge to look inward and see if our words and actions actually line up with what we truly believe.
Right. Like, are we walking the walk or just talking the talk?
Exactly. It's about being authentic, being the same person on the inside as you are on the outside.
Okay, so that's the integrity part. Now, what about this whole being dragged away by the wicked thing? What does it really mean? Is it like literal punishment? Or is it more about the bad influence of the wrong kind of friends?
Honestly, I think it's both. Like, practically speaking, if you're hanging out with people who are constantly making bad choices,
You're probably going to get caught up in the drama.
for sure. But on a deeper level, who you spend time with, their values, their decisions, their whole way of looking at the world, it all rubs off on you, whether you realize it or not.
So then, here's the tricky part. We're told to love everyone, but does that mean we shouldn't get too close to certain people? Like, does this verse suggest there are limits to who we let into our inner circle?
That's a great question, and it's important to be nuanced here. It's more about being thoughtful about close relationships with people who consistently choose to act in ways that go against your values. It's about protecting yourself and staying true to what you believe in, safeguarding your own well-being.
Got it. But then how does this ancient advice apply to us today? I mean, the world is so complex, right? It's not always clear what the right choice is.
And that's where seeking divine guidance comes in. David isn't just asking for protection from physical danger. He's asking God for wisdom to make good choices in all areas of his life, including who he trusts and spends time with. He's basically like, God, help me see clearly. Help me make choices that are in line with what I believe.
It's like he's asking for that inner compass.
Exactly, something to help him navigate all the twists and turns.
So how do we do that today? If we're struggling with a decision, how do we tap into that divine guidance?
Seriously, it's about creating space for reflection. Maybe try journaling, meditation, talking to a mentor or someone you trust, anything that helps you connect with your inner wisdom and get clear on what feels right for you.
I love that, creating space to listen to that inner compass.
It's so important. And the psalm reminds us that we don't have to figure everything out on our own. There's something bigger than ourselves that we can turn to for support and guidance.
Okay, so big takeaway. Psalm 28.3 is a call to be authentic, to make sure our actions reflect our true selves. It's also a reminder to pay attention to our inner circle. Who are we letting influence us? And finally, it's an invitation to seek guidance from something bigger than ourselves, especially when we're facing difficult choices.
Perfectly summarized.
It's amazing how relevant this ancient text still is, right?
It is.
Thousands of years later, and we're still grappling with the same questions about integrity, relationships, and finding our way.
It's true. It shows that some things are just part of the human experience.
Absolutely. So here's something to ponder as we wrap up. What would HE consider the modern evils that we need to watch out for? What are the influences in our lives, maybe the people or the messages we're constantly bombarded with, that could be pulling us away from our true selves? Take some time to reflect on that. Keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep growing. Until then.
See you next time.